We have an ACLJ victory. We always want to utilize this broadcast when we can to update you on the work of the ACLJ as well directly, and when we've got victories to announce to make sure you know about them.
Yeah, so, we've for 40 years, we've been fighting over the issue of public recognition of prayer or students wanting to pray or individuals wanting to pray. We've got a case of the Supreme Court we'll talk about in a moment, but sometimes these are just cases at a local level, but you need to know what's happening because we talk about, border crisis and going to court on that, or the Supreme Court of the United States and dealing with that on the overturning of Roe. But a lot of these cases are individuals in a small community or a larger community that need help. And we've got a victory report that we've put in our email today to put out because it's going to show you that whether it is at the Supreme Court of the United States or in a local school board, ACLJ lawyers were there, Cece.
Yeah, and here it was just an elementary school in Iowa. There was a little boy in an elementary school in Iowa that had been told that he could not bring his Christian reading material or talk about the Bible due to separation of church and state, and he was told this on multiple occasions. So, of course, we were contacted by his parents, and we immediately jumped in and sent a letter to the school just telling the school of this little boy's rights, that he has the right to have a conversation at school about the Bible or to bring his Bible or to even hand out religious material. And so once the school got the information, got the relevant legal information, they changed their policy, and this little boy has been able to bring his Christian material and talk about the Bible because we stepped in and provided the right information.
You know what's interesting? We've been litigating these cases, folks, for decades. I mean, literally 4 decades. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about it today was because you know why that's going on? Let me tell you what else is going on. We're at the Supreme Court of the United States. We represent the city of Ocala on a huge case involving prayer. And the big part of the case is whether somebody that's just offended because someone prays has the right to then go to federal court and seek injunctions to stop the prayer activity, which so far the Court of Appeals and the district court said they could. So we took the case up to the Supreme Court of the United States, and we briefed it in September and again in November, and the other side responded in October, and then it was Christmas, and then it was set for conference originally on January 6th. So we were supposed to have it last Friday. We got an order about 2 days before that said being reconferenced. Didn't say when, just pulled the file. It's very hard to read into what that means. We did get word today that at least as of right now, the case is scheduled to be discussed in conference on, there's the docket sheet. We're putting it up right there from the Supreme Court website this Friday. Now, what does that mean? If the court decides they're going to grant it on Friday, they will usually issue the order that afternoon. The justices meet, all 9 of them, at approximately 10 o'clock in the morning. It's usually about a 2-hour conference. They go around the table and decide. You've got to have 4 votes for a Supreme Court case to be heard. So it's called the rule of 4. So when 4 justices say we want to hear it, then they decide they're going to hear it or not hear it. Now, if they have 4 that say they want to hear it, it gets heard. Now, here's what's interesting on this one. Justices Alito and Gorsuch do not participate in what's called the cert pool. It's a little bit in the weeds, but I think it's important for people to understand this. What that means is the other chambers, including conservatives and liberals, their clerks look at the certiorari petitions, and they decide, we recommend this case, we don't recommend this case, here's what the issue is. They do a little memo. Alito and Gorsuch do not do that. So they review them prior to that. Of course, all the justices get the memos before. So my guess is the memos have been circulated. That's like guess number 1 here. And again, this is a little bit of speculation, but I've been doing this since the 1980s. And then if there's a grant of review, I think we would find out Friday afternoon. Be after Jordan, after we're off the air, but we would know. We would send out an email alert, or maybe come on live if we find out. It's also possible that before then they'd pull it off for another conference date. That happens too.
Yeah, I think what's important here is that this is a lot of those cases we've talked about for years of like the angry, upset atheist. Yeah. My stomach hurts when I walk by and see a nativity scene, or
Here they said they went to get offended. They knew they'd be offended. That's why they went.